Hi everybody, Russ and my Hammers 11. Hope you're safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting the bell icon so you're made aware of any time we put new content on. Lots of great guests coming up, including today's guest, lifelong Hammer. Well, he's not hasn't been along for that long, so you know it's not a long lifelong, thankfully. It's Callum. How you doing, Callum? How's things with you, man?
Yeah, good. Thanks. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. How have you been in this new world we live in?
Yeah, not too bad. Just pretty much the same with everyone else, taking every new day as it is. Bit happier after the result against Wolves, obviously.
Yeah, it weren't too shabby, was it? It weren't too
Yeah,
shabby. It's
yeah, look,
incredible what one good. So I'm just going to change my blinds because it's a bit bright. It's incredible what one game does to the morale of people, doesn't it? You know, it's
exactly. Yeah,
like just before kickoff, everyone's like, "Oh, we're going to lose." Blah, blah, blah. You know, turn over a team 4-0 easily could have been 7 or 8,
yeah,
and we're well beaters again now. You know, that's why
yep.
that's
West
why I
Ham
love
fan.
football. That's why I love football, man. It's so good. But obviously, you know, it's. Are you a crowd noise on or off type person?
I was actually against it at first.
Mm.
Um, I didn't really get it, and then I watched the Bundesliga on BT, and I couldn't believe how much better it was. It just made it. It was like a training ground game before. It made it a lot more
Yeah,
normal. So yeah,
no,
I'm
you're
on.
right. Yeah, definitely. No, I think it's funny. Although sometimes I mean, particularly obviously the away games when I listen to it, I like to switch because sometimes I like just listening to people swear. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it
Just
makes it sound
a few rude words come 3 o'clock,
yeah.
like on
Heard Eric
Sunday,
Dyer.
With Andy Carroll's expletives
Yeah,
and mouth reading, and then the commentator had to apologise. Well,
yeah,
just like put the fake crowd noise on instead. But
I know.
yeah, no, it's all good, and you know, it's encouraging signs. That's what we'll say at the moment. Encouraging
Yeah,
signs, to be honest. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's all fun and games. And I'm glad that everything's we obviously it was good that last season when they brought the football back. They had to bring it back, and I was glad they did. And we've carried on. I mean, we've only really played two poor games, really. I'd say probably the Wolves game and Newcastle game in the last sort of dozen or so games. We've only played a couple of bad games, so
yeah.
we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. Right. So, obviously, everyone we get on the channel, the first thing we always ask is why you're a West Ham fan, Callum. To be honest, everyone has a slightly different story. So what's your origin story? Why are you a Hammer, Callum? What's your story?
Mine's quite a strange one, really. I was born in Kettering, East Midlands, just a bit south of Leicester and a bit north of Northampton, somewhere in between there. Lived there for 18 years. Only moved here recently. But when I was around 8 or 9 years old, my mum and dad split, and my mum met my stepdad, who was born in Ilford, West Ham fan. And I also had my uncle, who was blood, so I obviously had West Ham in my family already. And obviously they got speaking. They both had season tickets, so they relocated next to each other, and then said, "Do you want to go to your first game?" At this point, I'd only been Old Trafford because my other half of the family are Man United fans. They were season ticket holders, so I knew what going to games was like because they went every week. But it just wasn't for me. I was like, well, yeah, of course I'll go to my first game, and it so happened that my birthday game was Spurs at home, and Defoe missed the last minute penalty, and obviously you know how hated Defoe was at the time, and it was the atmosphere. It couldn't have been any better. So from there on, it was like I went to that, and then they got me a ticket every week until season ticket renewals. Then they bought me a season ticket, and I've had one ever since.
Oh, wow, oh, that's fantastic. And you're right.
Yeah,
It's like that's not a bad first game going. Tottenham.
yeah, it's not. I think they went pre-season as well against Roma, and their fans were just crazy. You got
Yeah,
half of
absolutely
them just
nutters.
wanting to fight everyone, the other half coming in the pub and having a beer with everyone.
Yeah, no, it's always the way. I remember we had quite a few Italian teams come and do sort of pre-season friendlies, and yeah, they're always up for a scrap, aren't they? Bless them.
Yeah,
And I mean, but having Tottenham as your first game, and then obviously Defoe missing a penalty, it adds to the romance of being a West Ham fan, really, doesn't it?
yeah,
Because you've got like the hatred of Tottenham, the hatred of Defoe, that last minute penalty, excitement, and no, it's good, man. That's not a bad first game. You mean you have some people go to kids for a quid games or whatever like that, and
yeah,
but Tottenham, that's a humdinger, a humdinger,
yeah.
mate.
I was a bit reluctant at the time because she was saying obviously, oh, is it not going to be trouble? And my stepdad said, no, it'll be all right. It won't be too bad. I think it's always been. People always say it to me. It says, "Oh, there's not loads of trouble over there. There's never trouble, home or away. Really, it's very all behind. You don't see anything. It's
Yeah.
the experience is good. I take my lad now. He's only 2, and he loves it. He won't see any trouble over there. So anyone who
Well, that's the
wants to
thing.
take,
I mean, that's the thing. If you're, it's a testament to that. That the fact there's no trouble there, and that you take your lad, and it's like,
yeah,
and he's only 2, and it's not like someone you could shield him from. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's no, that's great, man. That's really, and I love the way that despite your sort of unusual, not unusual, but slightly different origin story, he hasn't
yeah.
got your lad ain't got a chance, has he? To be honest, he's
No,
gonna be a West
no.
Ham fan.
Yes, I mean, I used to really enjoy the train journey up, and despite I was obviously only a kid, my stepdad, we used to go to a pub in King's Cross because that was where we'd go into. So we'd come from Kettering, arrive at King's Cross, we'd stay in the pub there till about 2. We'd probably usually miss kick-off by 10 minutes every week, and then but we'd just make it on time. I think it was the whole day out I really liked, and then obviously then when I got older, then I could have a beer, and then I'd go to the pub. And then sometimes we'd go Aldgate East. It was a nice pub there that's shut down now. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
just the whole day out I really like.
You're right. And I think that's what people miss the most. It's not about not being there because win or lose, always on the booze. So it doesn't really matter. But it's as you said, it's the experience, isn't it? And it's like, as you said, when your lad's older, he'll be going with you, and you go to the pubs and you do this and do that. It's all like a lovely thing to do. And I think that's what people miss most. And it's a shame
Yeah,
because obviously clearly we're not going to be back until after Christmas at the earliest, and I think people really miss it, and it's a shame as well because obviously the team are starting to do some stuff,
yeah,
and there's no fucker there apart from me to see it, so it's really
yeah.
there's no feedback for them, so it must be
I
so
mean,
so bizarre.
I bet you're enjoying it at the minute though.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. It's not. Yeah, but it's weird. I don't like the fact that
Yeah,
there's no one there. It's really strange, and when you can hear journalists typing on their keyboard, despite there being a few £100 million worth of players on the pitch, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't sit well with me. But yeah, because I can't hear any fans anyway when I'm there because we have it's just like a soundproof box. I can only hear
yeah,
if it's noisy through the vibrations in my feet if it sounds
oh,
really cheap, but so I
yeah,
know when it's a noisy crowd, when I can feel it on my feet, and it's very bizarre. It's very bizarre. But one day everyone will be back and singing bubbles together, and I think that'll be a lovely day whenever that happens. But
yeah,
yes, so be it. Well, I was going to ask you about if you know your first game, but you knew your first game because
yeah.
it's the Tottenham game. So that's somewhat
Very,
answered that question. But yeah, but
yeah.
any sort of obviously you've been a season ticket holder for a long time now. Any memories, any things which stand out, away trips or whatever, which you go, that's West Ham. I remember that I'm fondly. Stories you tell
Uh,
people over the pub.
yeah, the 3-2 in the League Cup a couple of years ago. I think it was one of Bilic's last games actually. That was a bit of a standout. That was really good day out at
Yeah.
Wembley. Um, Coventry away in the Championship, I think, was my first away game, so that obviously stands out for me as well. I think Freddie Picquion fell over and scored, which isn't surprising.
Oh, good old Freddie Picquion.
There's a few good ones, but I think Spurs. Oh, Man United away in the FA Cup with the Payet free kick.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
obviously one of the standouts. There was so many good ones that year though.
Yeah,
That
it
year,
was. It was like a catalogue, wasn't it? Every game
yeah,
there was something good that happened that season,
it
that
was
game,
just so
which was it
lost to
was.
Swan home and then Stoke to bottle
Yeah.
the Europe.
Well, again, it's the West Ham way. It wouldn't have been West Ham without bottling it at the end. You know what I mean? Or it was always when, famously, I think for a few seasons, it was always, oh, we could get seventh or whatever.
Yeah,
And every time we just about to get seventh, even like during the season, we'd always bottle it. We'd never, never get seventh.
yeah,
Every
and maybe
time
it was to Astra or
it
something in the Europa League anyway.
yeah, exactly. Then yeah. But that's what makes me laugh. People want to get into Europe, and as soon as they get into Europe, they don't, they sort of not give up, but they just don't
Yeah,
because they have so many qualifying rounds and stuff like that. It's like the Carabao Cup, isn't it? It's like
yeah,
there's so many rounds, and it's so it starts so early as well, so we've already had, a few rounds already, and I think after this round, the next round coming with Everton, I don't think the next round's until sort of towards the end of December. So you've had for some reason you've had all these games really, really close, and then you've got 2 months until to the next
Yeah,
round. It just makes no sense. So it's unsurprising that teams don't put out their full team
yeah,
when that happens. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe a cup run this year. Who knows? Typically, it'll be a
yeah,
cup run when there's no one there in the ground to see it.
yeah.
Again,
It's going to be interesting because we've both got a chance, really, us and Everton. And I'm
yeah,
interested to see what team they put out because their backup team is actually quite strong. They've looked good, but they've got to a point now where if they beat us, they're in quite a late round, and they've got a
yeah.
really good first team at the minute.
Yeah, but
So
we've
we're
got
both
we've got quite a good backup team as well. Our reserve team is
yeah,
Yarmolenko and Anderson and Lanzini and fucking hell. You know
yeah,
what I mean? It's like how many
game
hundred
actually.
millions worth? I know, and Haller and stuff like that. It's we haven't got a bad reserve team, but it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah,
But yeah, as you said, it's all about momentum, isn't it? So obviously, and what's nice is that the cup games have brought this momentum on. Obviously the Arsenal game we played really well and should have got something, and then obviously
yeah,
Charlton we won, and then Wolves, and hopefully we can keep this momentum going because it's just it's needed. I think it's needed
yeah,
at the
definitely.
moment.
Yeah, the performance of our reserve team, as we say, um, definitely it makes our players play better. Like Bowen, for example.
Yeah,
You look at the way he played because Yarmolenko's had a brilliant game in midweek. He's shown a bit of competition,
yeah,
and now Bowen goes and does that, and you think, well, that's brilliant. You can't ask for anything more. It now
it's a
means
good
that if
point.
Bowen has a bit of a bad game, that Yarmolenko can come in, and
Yeah,
they'll be pushing
it
each other again. So
it's nice, isn't it? It's nice when players you feel like they have to, um, where obviously the performance of the B team, so to speak, then
yeah,
pushes and spurs on them to do more, which is exactly what you need. And I mean, even like some of the young lads. Ashby. Ashby
yeah,
was brilliant,
right.
and it's a shame he got injured. He did his finger in, didn't he? Because he'd be sniffing around eventually. Particularly now, obviously with Fredericks out for a little while. If we don't get anyone in, I quite like Ashby. I think he's a really good fullback, and he just looks like he's got
So
a good future.
my
So.
boy
Oh, don't be
there.
silly. He's cute. He's cute. He's cute, man. So yeah, no, we should. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But you know, I was more confident than I was Sunday about 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock in the evening. A lot more
Yeah,
confident and happy now. So
yeah,
it's the West Ham way. We're 10th now, aren't we? So that's it.
yeah.
Top 10
Take
finish.
that.
Season over, please. That's it. Done.
Yeah,
Um, right. So let's talk about your Hammers 11, Callum. So basically, everyone we have on. Um, they whether it's a player or a fan, they give us their Hammers 11. So the idea being is they pick 11 players of the players they've been alive to see. So obviously it's not like
yeah,
your dream 11. It's because obviously you and me were around to see Bobby Moore and Billy Bonds and Trevor Brooking play. So it's not,
yeah,
how can we put them in our team because we've never seen them? There's no reference point. But you can talk about whoever you want. It doesn't have to be the best players. It doesn't have to be the favourite players. It could be your worst 11 or whatever. It doesn't matter, Callum. It's your 11, and so that's the whole idea of the show. So we'll start off in goal. Who are we going to have in goal? Who's going to be between the sticks for the Callum 11? That's what we
I
want to know.
think possibly a bit of recency bias, or maybe it just be because he's so good. But I'd have to say Fabianski probably.
No, I agree. Yep.
Yeah, uh, brilliant, consistent. Gone off a bit since his injury, but I think one he could get his form back. Two, he's old anyway, so we can't expect him to be Superman every week.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's been revelation. He essentially kept us up.
He did.
He stayed so much. You can see the difference as well. I've always said with the keeper, it's not just the keeper; it's the defense. You see how shaky the defense got when Roberto came in,
Yeah,
and you
yeah, yeah.
think everything changes about the team. So yeah, I think definitely Fabianski.
Definitely, you're right, and it's one of those things. It's I think the position of the goalkeeper makes ever since the Roberto incident, I call it.
Yeah,
You don't realise how much you need a solid keeper. We've been all right. I think we've been quite fortunate in all of our keepers have been reasonably solid in my time.
yeah, yeah,
Whether it's Rob Green or David James or Shaka or Ludo, and so for me it's It's definitely like I totally agree. Fabianski's in my 11. I think he's consistently the best goalkeeper we've had, and glimpses at the Wolves game. It was a lot more confident back. He's coming forward a lot more. It's a couple
Yeah,
of challenges of him and Jimenez where he really went for it. And yeah, we've probably got maybe a season and a half left with him. He's
yeah,
36 now, so all our goalkeepers are quite old, actually. All our first team goalkeepers. So
yeah,
it's like David Martin and Randolph and him, and yeah. So hopefully, we're given it might give an opportunity to, if we keep going, maybe not so now in the Carabao Cup, but the likes of Trot and people like that, just to get these
yeah,
youngsters some first team experience, because we'll need them, particularly in the world we live in now. The Charlton game proved it. Half an hour, 40 minutes before kickoff, half the team leaves. Because they've got positive tests, and that isn't going to be the first or last time that ever happens. That's for sure. But we'll put Fabianski in. What formation we're going to play, Callum? We're going to play 3-4 at the back. What are we going to do?
We'll go 4-3-3. I think I've got a couple of
Nice.
fullbacks in mind, so yeah.
Yeah. Okie dokie. Right. Let's go left back then. Who have we got on the left?
Left back, Cress, definitely. I mean, he's definitely last 2 to 3 years hasn't been as much himself, but I think
No.
even against Wolves and when Masuaku played in the wingback role in Moyes' previous um,
Yep.
time as manager, I think he was good at centre back as well, which is
Yeah.
just so strange. You'd think he's not even like 6 foot. But there's a few times I noticed against Wolves where he wouldn't win headers against Jimenez, but he'd be doing enough to put him off, and then he'd win the second ball every time.
Yeah.
And I think they got a great understanding him and Masuaku at the minute,
Yeah.
where
They
they'll
do.
double up. They do it really well. So, but yeah, even before that, obviously he was hammered a year. I think in his first or second season,
Hmm.
he was
Yeah. You're
chipping in
right.
with goals. He was good defensively. And he's
Hmm.
definitely, I think, my favourite left back we've
It's one of
had.
those it's one of those things with injuries as well, isn't it? I mean, injuries
Yeah,
it plagues all West Ham players. It seems more than anyone. I would suggest, but yeah, I mean, he came once he got injured. He was never the same player back. But there is a bit of a renaissance about him the last few games, and you're right.
yeah,
It's that sort of playing that defense. I am not putting him in the same category as Steve Potts. I just want to say that. But Steve Potts was 5'8" and was an incredible centre back. You don't have to
yeah,
be 6 foot plus and
mm,
be a good centre back. It's all about placement and stuff like that. All I'm saying with Cresswell is he hasn't been shown up too much playing in that back three. That's
yeah,
all I'm saying.
definitely.
Because I know there's gonna be loads. Oh, he's going to Steve Potts. No, no, I'm not comparing Aaron Cresswell to Steve Potts. I'm just saying stature wise in terms of their
Yeah,
physical appearance. But yeah, no, Cresswell, no, I think he's fair play to him. You know what I mean? I think fair play. He's adapted his game to fit in that position, and as long as Moyes plays 3 at the back, then he's got a position there. And I think it's nice. You said Masuaku; they seem to have a good understanding. We all see Masuaku as being more of a attacking playing rather than a defensive player, and
yeah, definitely.
it just works. It just works, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Okay, dokie. Aaron Cresswell is in. Who is next? We'll go. I don't know, right back. Let's go right back.
right back. That's a tough one. I don't think we've been
It is.
really blessed in my lifetime, but for some reason it's not probably the best, but I quite liked Guy Demel. No
Ah,
reason. I just liked him. I had no reason. I didn't think he was a great player. I think I met him when I was quite young, and he was really nice
that's
to me.
probably
So
why.
it's like I just liked him as a person.
Yeah, just a lovely bloke. But he was
Yeah,
solid bloke, wasn't he? Just he was built,
yeah,
absolutely built like a proverbial house. But no, I loved him. No, he's a good man, and you're right. We haven't been blessed with right back since Tim Breaker, maybe Sebastian Schemmel for a season. But apart from that, it's that they're either loan signings or they haven't performed at right back, or we convert a centre back to a like we did
yeah,
with Tompkins for a while. It's always been a problem. I hope with Ben Johnson now we have someone who can cement
yeah,
his position. But again, it's Fredericks. Now Fredericks is injured. There's an opportunity for Johnson to stand up, and go for it. But obviously, then they'll
yeah,
play wing backs. They'll be right wing back rather than a full back. But doesn't matter.
yeah,
It's always hindsight's always a great thing. But no, I think I think he was a really solid player. Guy Demel was, and
yeah,
he did a
yeah.
job for us. I don't remember him making any mistakes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he didn't really like. He might not always be the best, but he was kind of just solid every week, like a 6 or a 7 out of 10 every week,
Yeah,
really.
and you need that. It's like
Yeah,
I call it the George McCartney syndrome. It's that
yeah,
sort of 6 or 7 out of 10. You'll recognise him when someone mentions him, but you wouldn't put him down on your
yeah.
first team in your team sheet. And no, yeah, all right, geeze him. Let's go centre backs. Who's your first centre half then?
Winston, Winston Reed,
Oh,
definitely.
Winnie Reid. Winnie
Yeah,
Reid.
I think it's far too easy for people to forget how good he was in his prime.
Yeah,
There was a few clubs. I remember Arsenal wanted him for I think two or so years. They were
yeah,
haggling out to try and get him. I mean, injuries done him, yes, but there's still like tight. There's so many moments. Millwall, last game Upton Park. I remember last minute Sunderland at London Stadium where he decided to do like a Ronaldo chop and scored from the edge of the box. So yeah, there's so many moments, and he's just I think he's been a bit of a leader as well at the back. He's definitely
yeah,
probably one of my favourite ever players.
yeah. No, and I mean, he's starting to play again, isn't he? Now in the MLS,
Yeah,
so which is great to see. I mean, technically it's his testimonial year this year.
yeah,
He's been 10 years. It's a long time, and you're right. He was again, same as Cress, isn't it? Injuries have just
mhm,
completely stunted his time at West Ham. Who knows? He if he wasn't injured, he may well not be a West Ham player anymore.
yeah,
But it's that sort of sliding doors moment. But no, he'll always go down in history, won't he? For scoring against Millwall, for the goal at last got Upton Park and stuff like that. And yeah, no, you're right. I think we forget how good he was in his
mhm,
prime, particularly coming up from the Championship back into the Premier League. That's when he really was like in his was putting up trees. When
yeah,
he started when he joined, he wasn't that good, and we went down. And then
mhm,
that Championship year really sort of firmed him up. And I don't
yeah,
know what the
definitely.
Danish league's like, but he was a bit but he sort of firmed up a little bit, and then definitely came back in a vengeance. Right, okay. When he reads in, who's the other centre half then, Callum?
Um, Probably Ginge, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Ginger. I think he was at one of them in his first spell. Obviously, I was a bit younger, but I remember he'd make a howler, and you'd be annoyed, but then you know that he's not going to make up for it, but you know he's going to give you 110%, and
yeah,
you know that in his head he's going to be hating himself for that howler, and he's going to be trying to make up for it. Some players will put their heads down and they won't make up for it. They'll get down about it, and he'll put his head straight back up, try and forget about it, and make up for it every week. And I think in his second spell, despite being older, he was just so solid. He hardly seen him last 2 3 years for West Ham. Hardly made a mistake. He was just won everything in the air. And obviously such a good servant. I think he loves the club as well, which always helps.
always helps. And I think with Ginge, I think he's just one of those players who, when he came back, I've said it before. When he came back, he became more of a West Ham player. He was a good player when we signed him. Then he obviously left and went to Villa. Came back
Yeah,
as this sort of bald headed, massive beard, and just
yeah,
would just put his body everywhere to stop a goal. And I think that's what West Ham fans love, isn't it? It's that sort of
yeah.
never say die attitude, and he had it in abundance. And yeah, he was a great servant for the club. Yeah, all right, Ginger's in. Let's go midfield. So we've got midfield three. So who's your first one of your midfield three? Then Callum, if you're playing three in the midfield.
We'll go as like a holding. We'll go with Rice,
Yep.
and that's probably the easiest one. Obviously, a lot
Yeah.
of like I say, I'm young, so it's a lot of recency bias, but he's one of my favourite players, and he's just unbelievable at what he does. There's people out there who will go and say, "Oh, you didn't have a good game today." I'm thinking, do you watch the game? It's easy to not appreciate a defensive midfielder unless you're a fan of that team. Because I
Yeah.
mean, I've probably done at times where I've gone, oh, "Is he that good?" And then you actually watch the game and you think he really is. He'll
Yeah.
be in like against Wolves. He'll be in that spot. There was one on the edge of the box, and he'll just be in the right position at the right time to intercept it. And he gets his feet into little tackles where you think he's definitely going to give away a foul. And he'll just nick the ball, and they'll start an attack. And he's just definitely our most important player currently.
Oh, definitely, without a
Without
doubt.
him, we'd be in big trouble, but hopefully we keep him.
Yeah,
But
but
if,
it
like
just
I say, to move on, I would not blame him. I just wish him
no.
the
I don't
best for
think
him.
anyone would. I don't
No,
think anyone would blame him. And you know how good a player he is when he has an off game because it sticks out
Yeah,
like a sore thumb, and you go, oh, he's had an off game. Maybe he's played a 6 rather than an 8. You know what I mean? And
yeah, yeah.
that he's got such high standards that happens, and it's really unfortunate that people think, oh, his head's turned or whatever just because he had a bad game. The Wolves game just proved he's no. He just had a bad game. The
Yeah,
poor lad had played 2 international games in 4 days or something like that. He'd come back, hadn't done any trade, and he was straight back into it really. So
yeah.
no, I think he's absolutely mustard, and he's one of those players I think that as you said, you appreciate when he's in your team. I
Mm.
call it sort of the Michael Carrick effect. Michael
That's
Carrick was a
exactly.
player which no one really appreciated until he left, and then you go, actually, he was actually integral to our team, and not just
Mm.
us, but Tottenham and Man United. Every team he's left, they haven't been able to replace him, and that's I think the worry I have with Declan Rice.
Yeah,
When, not if, I think whenever that may be, he leaves the club. I don't think if, because I think today in the modern day, you don't get that sort of Mark Noble approach to playing for a club. You just don't.
yeah,
It's a career for people now, isn't it, rather than a passion. And so for Deck, but and I think we will struggle. When could be in 10 years' time? Who knows? But um, so we'll see. Hopefully it will be, but
yeah,
we'll see. But he's only a young lad, so I still have this sort of romantic um, notion that he'll be the next Mark Noble. He'd have seen how revered Mark is amongst the fans and think I want a bit of that. But we'll see.
yeah.
We'll see. He isn't gonna do a Payet, is he? If he doesn't
No, exactly, yeah,
get sold, you know what I mean? And I think that's what people realise, and everyone will wish him well. Whenever he does go, because I think it's only a matter of time. Right, okay, we'll put Deck in. Who's next?
Noble.
Marky Nobes.
I said that Rice was probably the easiest, but really thinking about it, Noble's is everyone's first. Been around for only 21 years, like me. He's
Yeah,
been basically my whole life. Well, he's been there the whole time I've been going West Ham.
it's mental, isn't it, when you
And
think of it like that?
it is, it's crazy. Yeah, and like you say, local boy. Look, and he's some of his performances in recent years haven't been as good, but even then, you think about it and you think there's something. I don't know what it is. He'll have a poor game, but sometimes he'll be out the team, and it won't
Yeah,
be his performance that he's missing. Maybe it's him. I don't know. It's just the team miss him. But we used to go weeks without him, and you think, oh, we're playing better without him, but we'd lose. And he'd come
yeah,
back in. We might play as well, but we'd win.
yeah,
And you think maybe I don't know what it is. It's his leadership, him in the dressing room. I don't know, but we used to miss him every week he didn't play.
yeah,
And that
yeah. Well,
15, wow, how
I
we didn't
mean,
get a call up.
you're right. Really, it's one of those things where you've got. I think with someone like Mark Noble, it's just he'll always just be around. He'll always be around. I think even when he leaves, he'll be around, and I just think he's great. And he's a fan, and you'd never see, with him, you'd never. I think we'll never get someone like that again, which is horrible to think
Yeah,
of. But again, I think again we live in this sort of romantic view of football. It doesn't happen. You don't have. You might
yeah,
have
so,
people who are fans, but not your captain or who's done 500 games and a one man club and everything that Mark brings. And so, no, I think you know we should revere him, and when he does hang up his boots, he should be integral within the coaching staff and stuff like that. So,
yeah. I think he will be. I mean, obviously he's got his own school thing at the minute going on, hasn't he? Mark Noble. I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but I know he does his own coaching. So I'm
mm,
assuming when he goes, he'll become some kind of coach or something behind the scenes. And
yeah,
maybe you never
no,
know,
definitely.
future manager. Who knows?
Yeah, no, exactly. Right, okie dokie. So, all right. So Mark's in. Who's next?
This one's tough. I'm probably going to go with a creative one to try and balance it out. I got probably two in mind between Lanzini and Yossi Benayoun.
Yeah,
And it's literally probably the toughest decision because they're quite similar players. I think
yeah,
Yossi was probably better, but because I've been going home and away West Ham during the years of Lanzini, I'll go for Lanzini.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All
Did
right, we'll put
you-
Manuel
but
in.
yeah,
Well, again, another one, injury. I mean, poor Buggy. You
yeah,
know what I mean? It's like injuries just buggered him up as well. It's horrible to think of it, but um, when he signed, he was brilliant, wasn't he? Our little gem.
Yeah,
You know,
that
he
first,
was.
first and second season were just
Yeah,
brilliant.
he really
Yeah, and
was. And
I
he
met him,
just.
because I met him a few times, and he's honestly one of the nicest guys you see. I went pre-season once, Germany a couple of years back, and he was on the bench, but he went back into the changing rooms, and instead of coming back out onto the bench, he just went round the whole stadium round to the fans, just signing everything, speaking to the fans, having a laugh with everyone, and then went back to the bench about half an hour later. I'm not sure what the boss would have thought about it, but he was really nice bloke.
And I mean, with him, he just seems, I mean, we look at the Charlton game, for example. Him, Anderson, Yarmolenko. That was probably some of the nicest football I've seen for a couple of years.
Yeah,
The way they were playing, and just get that consistency going again. And if he can have a prolonged time without any injuries, I think we would see someone close to. I don't think he ever will, because I think again, same with Cresswell, same with Reed. Once his players get injured,
yeah.
they always seem to get continually injured. But yeah, no, we'll see. We'll see with Manuel. What happens? But I think he's on his day when he's got the bit between his teeth. He's still an incredibly talented player, and
Yeah.
yeah, good shout. Okay, right, let's go. Let's go to the front three then. Who have we got?
Oh, well. There's one obvious one for me straight away, but I was just about to say I feel a bit harsh for leaving Scott Parker out, but you know, I had to leave out someone. But yeah,
You got to.
um, I'll go for the left. He's probably more of an attacking midfielder, but I'll put Pyatt on the left. Just
Yeah,
far too good to not make my team. Best I've ever
yeah,
seen by a
me too.
stretch, probably,
Yeah,
and probably the
absolutely
best I
stretch.
would see, unless we have some kind of drastic change in owners and get rich owners. I can't see us getting anyone better than that for a one-off season.
I don't think you're ever going to get someone who's a Ballon d'Or nominee
Yeah,
while he's
he was
playing for the club.
unbelievable. Just some of
Do
the
you know what I
things he
mean?
did. You see him every week, like taking the mick out of Chelsea, Liverpool, and you're thinking, wow,
Yeah,
he was
he's
unbelievable.
such a good player. He was such a good player, and he was
And I
he
was
was the
one of them.
play.
I reckon the first week I was so angry, and then after I've just thought, you know what? He's when you look into the story, the more you think about it, he just wanted to be back in France.
Yeah,
If he was at money motivated and everything, he would have gone to one of the bigger clubs. That's what he would have done. I think he just wanted to be back at home in France. I think he stories, well, I don't know if it's true that he messed up with his missus and everything. So I think to, get his family back, and at the end of the day, if that's what he wants to do. And I hear a lot of pundits as well now. They go, "Oh, well, what's he done since West Ham?" I'm thinking, if you actually watch the French league, he's still unbelievably good.
yeah,
Still, the
yeah.
amount of chances he creates and the stuff he does over there, still now he's such a good player.
I think we got him at his peak. You know what I mean? I think we did
Yeah,
get him at his
definitely.
peak. He hit that purple patch, and that all. When's that ever happened? I
Yeah,
can't in my time having a player who hits their peak. Di Canio maybe, but maybe arguably
yeah,
before he was, but Pyatt was at his peak. He was at his world peak. And it's like it was one of those times where he was just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And I thought it was he made that last season what it was. It would
yeah,
not have been that season without the Payet, without the Man United, the away, without the Crystal Palace free kick, without when he tore Blackburn a new one and
yeah.
just ran the game. We wouldn't have had that season if it wasn't for him. And I think he'll always be revered in West Ham's fans' hearts because of that season, regardless of what generation people come from, because he was that good. Um,
Yeah.
right, okie dokie. Pirates in. Who is next?
On the right, I'm trying to think who's on the right. It's tough because I've always been a fan of Antonio, obviously. Very good player. I'm trying to think from like the era before when I was younger who we would have had. It's a tough one, the right hand side, or is it winger in general? I will probably go Antonio.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Just it's such a strange footballer. Like on the eye, you'd think he's awful, really, like technically, but he just cannot defend it. You can't. You see Cody.
He's just got a
Cody
knack, hasn't he? He's got his knack. I don't really know what it is, but
but I really liked him at Forest beforehand, before he comes to us, and he was
yeah,
completely different. He was quite technically good. Like, although he still had the same like heavy touch and things like that, he'd run past players, and he was more of a winger, and he'd score. quite a few goals from outside the box, whereas usually now if you see him shoot from outside the box, he's probably going to go in Rose Ed.
Yeah.
But the way he's changed into the striker role as well, he's really good and
But
just really
yeah,
like a player.
again, he's one of those players who, unfortunately, is an injury away for being out for 6 months, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's one of those guys who always, he's been fortunate in the last, since restart. He hasn't got injured, hasn't taken many major knocks, but he's just got this. I don't know what it is. As you said, he's not technically he's not fantastic. I don't think he is.
yeah,
But he's just got this just pure rawness about him, which he doesn't know what he's going to do. So how is the defender going to know
yeah,
how
yeah,
to go against him? Do you know what I mean? I mean, even Traore, you watched them both. It was funny. I thought when Traore push
yeah,
Antonio off the ball, and I'm thinking that is the only person I know who can do that.
yeah,
But even you've got an idea of his game plan. His game
yeah,
plan is to basically run it wide and chop it in, where Antonio just does this sort of diagonal thing and he just runs in the box. And there was one at Wolves game. There was a point where he came off the left hand side and just like diagonally, just literally walked into the box, and no
yeah.
one went near him. And I was like, "What is going on?" And then obviously he then does a crap shot, but he's just, but yeah, he's got a knack, isn't he? And long may it continue because we all know we're all waiting for to see him and Haller go up front
Yeah,
together. So I want us to get enough points that Moyes is happy with that. So sorry, my builder downstairs. Anyway, so that's Antonio in. Who's the last person? Who are we gonna have up? Probably the main head of the striker.
um, I'd say the best would obviously be Carlos, but
Yeah.
yeah, you have to go Carlton Cole. You have to. You can't not go Carlton Cole.
Yeah, he's a legend, isn't he? I mean,
Simple
he's a
as that.
legend, isn't he? He's a lovely bloke as well, and he's
Really good.
West Ham. He loves the club, and the club love him, and yeah, he was God loves a trier, don't they? God loves a trier, and he did.
The worst thing about it was like people would laugh at him at times because he'd do stuff and you think, wow, like, 'cause sometimes you can be awful. But the deep thing is, he was at times a brilliant footballer. Some of the goals he scored.
Yeah,
There was one I think on the turn. The Premier League put it up. It was on this day a few years ago, and he got one. And then there was one I think Wigan away team goal that he finished off. Obviously, he was at Chelsea's youth when they were coming through with a really good side. And you think he was a really good footballer. He just obviously didn't fulfill his potential, but for what he
yeah,
didn't have in his potential, he definitely made up for with his hard work. That's for sure. He
yeah,
was every week he'd run and run and run, and you know what I mean. At West Ham, sometimes we have these players. Maybe like people say, it's not a good thing that we appreciate players that work hard too much. We don't appreciate those that are better,
mm,
but that's because we like the bare minimum, which is hard work,
yeah.
and
You're
he
right,
did.
but he was a typical West Ham player because he would have these moments of genius,
Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
thinking, where has this player been? You know
yeah,
what I mean? A bit like West Ham, it's like we'll turn up and like on Sunday, beat Wolves
mm,
4-0, and you're thinking, where has this team been? And he was a typical, a perfect West Ham player, Carlton Cole is.
yeah,
Moments of genius, moments of complete madness, in terms of like no control. I mean, he can't control. They used to call him and stuff like that. But he would always have a go, and I think West
yeah,
Ham fans, that's what they appreciate. And nah, good man. He's a nice bloke as well. But that's it. That's it, Callum. That's your
yep.
team.
Well,
You've pinned your colours to that 11, but there's a lot of heart in that team. I think with
yeah,
like the Coltons and Noble and Rice and Collins. There's a lot of heart which West Ham fans love, isn't it? As you said, but
let's just say if I had a three-man bench, it would be Parker, Tevez, Diamante. That's one player that
yeah.
doesn't get mentioned much, but I just loved him.
He doesn't. No, no, no. He was crazy, wasn't he? I think because he gets overshadowed because he sort of came in that period, didn't he, between Di Canio and
Yeah,
Payet, and so that little reference point, and obviously Tevez as well. So he gets lost in that. There's a few around that time, like Diamante. I always liked Louis Jimenez. I thought he was a
yeah.
good player as well, and they get lost in the pecking order, so to speak.
I
But
see I follow on Instagram as well, Diamante, and he still goes to games. Obviously, when they're on, he'll go to West Ham like once or twice a season. I think
yeah.
he did an article for someone the other day.
Yeah, and I
talking
think he
about.
did an article for Ross from the Athletic,
Yeah, that was
Ross
it. Yeah,
Thomas. Yeah, yeah,
saying
yeah. He did one for him. So yeah.
so that obviously makes me even happier because
But
one
they
of my
all do.
favourite.
It's like Carlos Tevez. He came out the other day and said the only team he'll play in Europe would be West Ham, and
Yeah,
he's 36 now. You know,
no,
and that's what I love. I love
yeah,
players. Everyone who seems to leave, obviously the players that I interview, the ex players, they all say how much they love their time at the club,
yeah,
and I don't think it's a coincidence. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a coincidence.
yeah.
But anyway, it's been lovely chatting to you, Callum. Thank you so much for your time. I
No
appreciate
problem.
it. Don't you can go and attend to your young lad now.
Yeah,
And good luck to him. And obviously, until next time, take care, everyone. Stay safe. That's really, really important. And as I said, till next time, for me and Callum, take care, everyone. Stay safe. Callum can't do it because he's only got one hand, but come on, you irons. He's holding his phone in his other hand. But
yeah.
take care, everyone. Stay safe. We'll see you again very